This fall is a little more than I expected. In so deep I can barely see myself.
Hey guys, I just thought I'd do a little bit of a review. A while ago I did a review on the Helinox camp chairs. One of these that we own and we use them for camping. And a few people popped in and went, oh, they're a bit expensive, not everyone can afford them, there's cheaper ones available. And I thought, well, true, there is. So I jumped online, sent a few emails out to a few people and said, hey, you sell cheaper camp chairs, would you supply some for review? Now, one company got back to me and said they would. And I'm sorry if I sound a little bit raspy. Actually, I'm not sorry, it's just the way it is. COVID's having a field day in our family at the moment, myself included, so I don't feel as great as I should, but I'm not dying, so life's good. Anyway, so a little company in Queensland called Ride Camping Company got back to me and said that they would send me down one of their chairs. This one. And on face value, size and that sort of stuff, I thought that'll be good. They sent one down, and all they've asked is that I do an honest review. Honest, good, bad, indifferent, otherwise. They said just be honest, that's what we're about. So Ride Camping Company, just a little bit of a spiel on them. They're a small company in Queensland. They've been kicking around since March last year, just a pretty new startup. Their aim is to supply camping gear for motorbike riders. That's their gig. And so they supply a whole heap of stuff. It's obviously small. It's got to be for motorbike riders that are going out in the bush, that they can fit in their backpacks, in panniers, if you're doing road touring and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, well, this will be good. It looks like a small chair. It's about the same style as the Helinox Chair One. And when it arrived, it turns out it's actually about the same size as the Chair One Large. So we're not going to compare it against the extra large, which we also have, try and do apples for apples. And I thought I would do a bit of a review and we'll go from there. So let's just have a look at them. I'll flip the camera around and we'll just look at the baggaging for a start. So as you can see, looking at the Helinox and comparing it to the Ride Camping Chair, they are pretty similar in size. This is the Chair One, obviously. It's a large. That's the Ride Camping Co. They only do one size, these guys, and they're pretty much like the Model T Fords used to be. You can get them in any colour you like, as long as it's black and red. So these ones, the Helinox, you can get them in a range of colours. Weight-wise, I think these ones come in at about 900 grams. These ones come in at about 1 point something kilos. So weight-wise, not a lot of difference there. And as you can see, overall packing size and setup, not a great deal of difference to look at in the two baggages before we even open them up. So let's go a little bit further. So the next big question I asked when I got there, I had this nagging question in my mind. We pay a lot of money for Helinox. They're the go-to. They're sort of like Toyota. People buy them because they're a Toyota, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're better. I'm not sure. So Helinox, they're the name brand. They're the ones that people go to. They're the ones that people say, oh, look, if you want a really, really duck's guts chair, camping chair that's guaranteed not to break, get one of these. Well, all right, so I got this one and I had a look. There's a little tag inside the packet somewhere and I went, where's it made? So pretty straightforward. I opened it up, little tag, and made in China. Well, most things are, so no surprise there. And I thought, well, all right, Helinox is the one that's the brand. So I thought maybe made, Norway, Denmark, Europe, somewhere to go with the brand, Korea. So does it make it better, worse? No neighbours, really. So probably made very, very similar price to this one. Don't know, but we pay a lot more for this one than we do the other one. So let's have a look. I'm now going to set them up and I'll just set the frames up for a start so you can see the frames, and we'll do some comparisons in size and height and differences and things that we've noticed just in the time that we've had to use them. We haven't had a lot of chance to get out and use them as of late, especially in this last week because COVID isn't letting us out of the house at the moment, so I'm lucky I've got a shed. All right, let me set the frames up and we'll have a look. Okay, so as you can see, the frames aren't set up, but they are pretty similar. You look at the seat frame, this comes in a nice blue anodized. You can get them in different colors. This one, T-model Ford, remember, black and red. I'm pretty sure that's all they come in. But predominantly they look pretty much the same. You've got your big solid chunky bit that everything bolts into or clips into the center, and the ride one has pretty similar. If we look at it, get all these bits out of the way, pretty similar plastic knuckle, which is hard to get to sit up. There, I don't know about you, there's not a lot of difference. The plastic's got a different texture to it, but they are almost identical as far as design and layout. So I'll set the frames up and we'll look again. Okay, so there's a few differences you see straight off. Well, you probably don't, but I can. The tubes coming out here are thicker on the Helinox than they are on the ride chair. The center tube on both chairs is pretty similar, looks to be the same. The anodizing is slightly rougher, but that's really neither here nor there. The feet, a little bit different. There's a difference in the overall height. You can see the ride chair is lower in its overall back height, and the base, the difference between here and here is also a little bit lower, but not anything that is glaring. It does become a little bit more obvious when you put the covers on them, and I'll put the covers on them now. I'm just doing it step by step. I can't film myself and do this. I need two hands, but I will put the covers on them and we'll have another look. All right, so now the differences start to show a little bit. You can see the ride camping chair is obviously smaller in overall stature, a little bit narrower as a square, but doesn't make a difference. Now, the thing that I do notice is the stance of the legs here. The V, or the spread of the legs, if you go to the Helinox, it's wider than these ones. What does that mean? It means they tip over a little bit easier, but we don't tend to just set them up and throw them around to see if they tip over. So the Helinox will blow over very easy, and the ride camp chair will no doubt do the same as well. They are both feather light and good for camping. So I'll do a bit of a sit and see how we go. All right, so sort of shoved it on the side so you can see how things are going. I'll sit in this, see how we go. So it's little and it does feel flimsy, but it doesn't seem to want to give. These things are rated for 130 kilos, which I'm not. The Helinox rated for 145. I know that in this one, I've sat in this one at 94 kilos, roughly, and my daughter has sat on my lap. We've both sat in this and swung around, and it hasn't broken. So my daughter's not a heavyweight, she's only 10, but just the same. And to be honest, this is really comfy. It doesn't have the head and the neck rest, and I actually find this more comfy than I find the Helinox extra large. I find myself wanting to swing and get myself more comfy in the Helinox extra large, but in this I actually find it all right. And believe it or not, even though this is lower to the ground than this one, I actually find this one more comfy. And the kids both jumped in this one and went, oh, can we have one of these instead of this? Pretty pleased that we spent so much money on this, and they actually want one of these. So this is pretty comfy. Like, I actually find it quite comfy. It doesn't feel like it's gonna flip over and twist. No, not really. I'm sort of tweaking the legs here, nothing's giving. I'm not working it too hard. My aim isn't to break the chair, but you know, it's got 90 kilos in it, and it's sitting all right. It's making a little bit of a creaking noise. That might be saying I need to do something, but failing that, this one's pretty comfy. I quite like it. It does dig into me a little bit here, but this is the sort of chair I'd get for my kids, but it also does for me as well. So let me flip around and bring this one in. Now, this one gives me a little bit more back support. It's not digging in here. It's obviously a little bit wider in the spread up in here, so it's not digging into the back of my shoulders. So long-term comfort, this would probably be more comfy, but the reality is, if you're out motorbike riding and camping or using caravans that require a little bit of space, you probably aren't going to spend tons and tons of hours in this. You might, but if you're spending tons and tons of hours in a camp chair, then you're probably going to go and take a really big moon chair or something that's a lot more big and bulky. But if you're space challenged, these are all right. So how would I give this a rating for comfort? Well, this is comfy as well. It's not digging into my shoulders like the other one, so long term this is probably going to be more comfortable, but it probably feels similar as far as flex and give goes. And I think the other one, this one here, just feels a little bit lighter and flimsier, but by no means does that mean it feels like it's going to give way. It's just there seems to be a bit more rigidity in this one than there does that one, but not to the point where it feels like this one is going to break. So, all right, so price point. The price point, well, not the price point, let's look at the build for a start. This has got little, on the back of it where the arms go in, it's got like a canvas on, sort of the same sort of canvas you'll find on your canvas bags, your rooftop tent bags, that sort of canvas. So it's pretty strong. It's got the same sort of canvas material here. And overall the build quality looks to be pretty similar. Pretty solid, pretty sturdy. The only thing I'd say, like I said, is the legs have that narrower spread, so makes it probably more likely to tip if it's going to. But the big question I wanted to answer, I suppose, was would I buy one of these? And initially, when we were looking for chairs, there were all sorts of chairs around. And we looked at these and we looked at this style all over the place. And the thing that turned me off was people kept going, oh, cheap's cheap, you know, you're always going to get cheap. And then it's rubbish and you're going to end up buying another one. Well, this was $200. The Helinox was $200. These ones from Ride Camping Company are $69.95, $70. So would I buy one of these, given the chance again? Now I didn't have to buy this one because they very graciously supplied it so I could do a review. Would I, if it came to buying again, would I buy a Helinox or would I buy one of these? And the answer is, for the kids, I would buy one of these because this is my kids' chair. This is not my chair. Mine's a bigger chair than this. But I still find this more comfy. The lowness to the ground I actually find more comfy. It gives me that ability to sort of spread my legs out. I'm a bit of a slouch in a chair. So I actually feel like I can spread out a little bit. So I actually quite like this. Would I buy one of these over a Helinox? Well, yeah, I would actually. And I wouldn't have said that before. I went, I'm going to get a Helinox because that's the name brand and I'm going to have the name brand. I'm going to buy my Toyota of chairs. I say that with a Toyota in the background. But I can go through 3 of these before I've paid for one of these. Now, if one of these breaks, I've only lost $70, which some might say is a lot of money, but I reckon you'd have to be pretty hardcore on it to do the job. It's 100 grams lighter. It's pretty similar in size, a bit smaller on the packer, and I think it does a really good job. So if you're looking for an alternative to spending a lot of dough, this is probably a good way to go. You might still want to buy your Helinox, a lot of people will, and that's fine, but I'm telling you that from what I've seen of this is a good, cheap option, and my kids love it. They argue to sit over it, can we have it, can we use it for camping, can we do this and this? So it's now formed part of the camping kit that we take away, and I'm pretty sure that next time we set up, there's going to be a fight because we only have one of them. So thank you to the Ride Camping Co. that supplied this chair. I'm pretty happy with the product you've supplied. I'm also happy with the Helinox. I'm not unhappy with either, the question was, would I buy a cheap one? And before I would not have. And now I can honestly say, just because it's cheap doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It does in some cases, but in the case of the Ride Camping Co's chair, it doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it's cheaper. And that's not a bad thing. So you now have one more option for your camping arsenal via the Ride Camping Co. Queensland-based company. Look them up on Facebook. They also have a website, heaps of stuff. Do yourself a favour and